domestication of the UN Security Council Resolution 2250, which is about youth, peace and security, and how far we have been able to implement, and the opportunities that obtain out there in our respective institutions, guided by the panelists here present, the opportunities that are available for the young people to keep volunteering. We will also be looking at some of the recommendations for alternative activities to be implemented under the peace building and conflict resolution agenda. And so, allow me to quickly introduce the team with me with a search on the session on peace building and conflict resolution. We have apologies from Dr. Vimal Shah, whom I believe most of you know. But allow me to introduce Professor Chacha Nyaigoti Chacha, who is currently serving as the chair of the Kenya Commission for University Education. He is the chairman of the Youth Park, a group of advisors and eminent persons. He is also previously served as an executive secretary of the Inter-University Council for East Africa, as well as the first CEO of the Kenya Higher Education Loans Board. I know Professor Chacha wears many hats, but I think for today that suffices. And he's a Kenyan playwright and educationalist who has done quite a bit in this field. We have Reverend Dr. Cosmas Rakot, who is the Vice Chancellor, University, Uzima University. He's based in Kisumu, and he will also be able to discuss with us matters peace building and conflict resolution. Then we have Dr. Commissioner, Dr. Danvers Mukori. You saw him introduce himself earlier as my friend. We are friends. He's the commissioner at the National Commission and Integration Commission. He holds a Doctor of Theology from the International Christian University and a Master's in Biblical Theology of the International Christian University, and a BA also, a Bachelor of Arts in Theology from the Jameson Christian College. Formerly, as he had indicated earlier, he served in the Kidero and Songo administration prior to where he is, and he has volunteered on a number of assignments in serving people in this country and outside the country. Madam Anne Rose Kogi is a UN volunteer country coordinator for Kenya, having grown through the ranks for the UN volunteer herself. She has molded, mentored, coached, nurtured most of the UN volunteers in Kenya. She oversees the design, development and implementation of various UN projects and programs in partnership with various stakeholders across the country and in various sectors. And she was very instrumental in the design and implementation of what we call the Emergency Volunteer Scheme, EVS, that was initiated during the post-election violence in 2007-2008 in Kenya, which transitioned into the Neighborhood Volunteer Scheme thereafter. And she has a master's degree in business administration, management and operations from JKUAT, besides many other caps that she wears. So I think distinguished participants for today, that is the panel that we have. And I'm trying to check on time so that we don't deny the others. We are beginning our session at 13:44. It's only 13:44. And so we'll be posing some questions that we're asking them to also contribute in terms of what their organizations are doing on matters peace building and conflict management. So I will actually begin with, allow me to begin with Professor Chacha Nyaigoti Chacha, given his capacity as the chairman of the Kenya Commission for University Education. What the Commission is doing, of course, in partnership with the universities on ensuring that there is peace and cohesion, peace building and conflict resolution initiatives are also enhanced or strengthened strengthen the universities and our colleges, and what kind of opportunities that he sees that young people should be able to put in more effort in terms of volunteering on matters of peace building and conflict resolution. I think we give 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Maybe 10 or less, but...
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I think I am very pleased to be here. One, nostalgically remembering how many times I have stepped into this hall since the early 70s when I was an undergraduate here. I think that time, being a university student was an opportunity for you to feel good. And a lot of things were happening across the country, but people out there used to look at the university system here as a place where, first of all, there will be a meeting of individuals during our time, because individuals from this region, the East African region, and beyond, because we had some students from West Africa. But principally, there were students in this university who were citizens of Tanzania, and others were citizens of Uganda, and those from Tanzania, some were from Zanzibar. And being here was actually like the greatest place I could be during those years. And I would still think that from the Commission for University Education standpoint, that purpose for why universities are there should continue to be maintained. And therefore, it is always my honor and pleasure to participate in the activities of university students. And being associated with FISRT is one of those wonderful opportunities that I cherish. I just want to highlight a few challenges that this country has faced previously because of the individuals in the universities, in institutions of higher education, and all over our educational system, as well as those who live in the rural areas, have been misguided. I think for some time we have had politicians come to the university and to other educational institutions with the primary objective of getting rabble-rousers, individuals who can support their campaign without telling them what the vision is all about. And we have fallen sometimes victim of the same problem that this country has been going through. The problem where, right from where you are born in the village, you are brought up with the mindset of we versus them, that feeling like within the gathering of any nature that you find yourself in, your primary objective seems to be like, first of all, to identify who will be on your side, say we. And then you debunk and pigeonhole the other people as the others. And I think this has been a disease and a problem as far as our learning institutions have been concerned. And therefore the objective of FISRT is really to ensure that when we sit here as representatives of the larger community of the student population in universities, we are thinking and discussing the ways how this country can remain a united country through our initiatives and through our actions as students and student leaders for that matter. Coming here and sharing a platform with some of the university leaders, including vice chancellors, deans of students, and other leadership in the university system, should be able to unappeal a thought that we at the university are a family. And I think in order for us to enhance that spirit of being a family in the university, we needed to understand what the purpose of the university is all about. And that's why myself, as the chairman of the Commission for University Education, get involved, because each time we interact with the university leadership, it is through their proposals as to what programs they want to introduce or what programs they are offering to the students who are going to be admitted and continue to learn in their universities. And when we look at that process, we are always concerned about how programs should be tailored towards the highest degree of inclusivity, that all students should have an opportunity to choose whichever program they want to study without being discriminated. And when they are here, then of course the mantra is we are all comrades. That word comrades was coined during our time, long time ago. And I'm glad that it is still going on. But sometimes people take advantage of our vulnerability. Right now, we realize from where I sit that going through university education is not a joyous experience the way some of us used to experience it. Going through a university education has a number of challenges. So we needed to be able to design a process, the learning process in your lecture halls, and the living process in places where you eat and the places where you spend the night, to be conducive to enhancing and building that spirit of togetherness. Because when we are not together, we cannot be peaceful. And we should guard as a cohort of university students the brand. Because when you call yourself a university student, it doesn't matter which university you belong to. I tell people that the university education system is universal, such that if you are a student of mathematics, when you are learning the manipulation of theorems and the various multiplication and subtraction and the formula that you undertake in your classroom, by the time you get a degree of Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, that degree should be the same degree that somebody from another university in this country gets. And it should indeed be the same degree that somebody from East Africa, somebody from Africa, and somebody from the world gets. So being here, you are creating yourself a fundamental skills and a stand on which you become an international citizen. And in order for you to be an international citizen, of course, you have to cherish peaceful coexistence. Learning is not competition. Learning is a sharing experience that all of you as students and the lecturers who teach you, your heads of institutions, vice chancellors, should inculcate that culture of feeling that you are in a sharing process where whatever you know, you need to be able to share with those who do not know. And in fact, sometimes some of us as professors and lecturers we come before you, stand in front of you the way I'm standing, and start thinking that we are the tree of knowledge. But the knowledge which is gathered in the university is collective. It's supposed to be a societal knowledge, a community knowledge. Some of you may have read Hillary Clinton's book, It Takes a Village. And in that, what is highlighted is the fact that the task about how to create a peaceful coexistence in the world is we need each other. We need the efforts of each one of you in order for us to build the cohesion of this society. But I think we need to ask ourselves, what should we do? And that's where the Commission for University Education sometimes comes to us. That we look at your program. When the university presents to us the curriculum that we're going to use to teach you, we're looking at it in terms of its total value, the value addition to mankind and humanity. To being able to upgrade and uplift the social norms, the cultural norms, and the economic norms, so that together we can grow. And I think here in the university is where great minds are developed. And for us to continue being peaceful, we must say no in Kenya to politicians who have been misguided, who bring sometimes tension among ourselves, unwarranted and unwanted. And in order for us to do that, we must always remember that without understanding who we are, we cannot project that image of togetherness. And the image of togetherness, of course, in the country called Kenya, it has been undermined. And it has been undermined by the fronting of some element called ethnicity. So while you are listening to me, I think the starting point is to fight that pull that draws you to a cocoon of your ethnic community. And then you think that life starts and ends with your own community around you. As a university student, you need to emancipate yourself and feel that you can operate in a field that has no discrimination and that allows each one of you to walk proudly as a free thinker. I tell people, every morning, just like now, you are seated in this room, each one of you, you have your legs and foot down. The space where you are occupying, there is no any other person stepping on it. In fact, God created a very huge space around us. So if you want to dance, you can just go out here and dance. If you think dancing here, you shall start laughing. But if you want to laugh, you can also laugh. And if you want to shout, there are places where people can shout. And I think it is important for us to remember that in the university we learn the art of freedom. And when you have grasped and conquered that art of freedom, then you know that your freedom should not impinge on the freedom of the neighbor. That whatever you are doing should be done with the realization that somebody near you might be doing something different. And whatever they are doing is not inferior to what we are doing. Because all of us have come here with the mindset of getting the highest level of education. You came from various backgrounds, but I know the Commission for University Education set a minimum entry requirement which all of you met as students, and after you have met that, then you can probably walk around here and say, I can do better. Somebody who comes here with a C+ aggregate might walk out of these structures with the first-class honors. That's who we are in the university. We inculcate knowledge into your mind, and you should have an open mindset to be able to partake that knowledge. But I think I want to talk about two things before I stop, because I know time is running out. I think one of the dangers we have gathered across the way, this ethnicity has brought us to a level where we glorify our mother tongues. And we have forgotten that we have a national language and an official language, which I think our neighboring country called Tanzania used very well right from the time they became independent, in order for them to build a coherent society. A society where people disagree on ideas and philosophy, but they don't fight these wars which we witness sometimes in our country. So I'm beseeching you, I'm telling you that you are a young, bright community of students, and that your age, the best is still yet to be demonstrated and shown. You still have a future, and it is important for us to go back and get our national theater to be active, so that we can watch drama which brings cohesion in the society. We need to be singing, and we need to be talking, and we need to be conversing in our national language. Kenya is so lucky, of course, because it chose two languages, one which I'm using now. Unfortunately, my main focus has been on the other one. Kwa hivyo, nimeshukuru sana kupata fursa hii kuongea nanyi vijana kwa heshima na taadhima. Ninafurahia sana kuwa pamoja nanyi, kwamba sisi wakati wa ujana wetu tulikuwa tuna maono ya kujenga nchi moja, na maono ya kujenga chuo. Wakati huo ni chuo kimoja tulikuwa hapa, lakini tunafahamu kwamba vyuo vimepanuka. Lakini kama nilivyosema, sisi kama wanafunzi wa vyuo vikuu, kama kuna kabila la kitaaluma, kabila letu ni kwamba sisi ni wasomi, na tutakuwa viongozi, watekelezaji na watenda kazi. In English, we vow to continue nurturing in you the spirit of being servant leaders. And with that, we shall build a coherent country which is very peaceful, where each one of us can realize the objective of life without fearing or favoring. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Prof. With that wisdom, I wouldn't abstract him from contributing, but I think it has been very, very insightful. And so allow me to welcome Reverend Dr. Cosmas to share with us some insights on how he perceives as the scaling up peace building and conflict resolution within the universities, and any other insight that he could be having. And maybe as he contributes, just in case he has an idea on the university-community peace and security management committees that a number of universities have been implementing since, I think, 2020. If not him, maybe when we get to that session, Q&A, we can have a dean contributing. Somebody from JQuat and any other, we'll get that. So allow me to welcome Reverend Dr. Cosmas, the Vice Chancellor, Uzima University.
Thank you very much, MC. It's a privilege to share ideas with the student leadership from various universities that come. The welfare is disturbed, then there is infringement to the good of the person, and nothing good can come out of it. This comes when that peace is disturbed, when there is a conflict in our families, or even when we get out of our home in institutions where we go. We are proud to be who we are as Kenyans, but as Professor has pointed out, our handicap as a country lies in our ethnicity. When we are outside our country as Kenyans, as I'm sure you young people who are here at the university or other universities in our country will experience, when you go outside, you will embrace any Kenyan. You don't care where he comes from. And it is beautiful to see when you are out there pursuing your further studies. It is beautiful to see Kenyans getting together for a common cause. And at that point, there is no thinking that I am coming from the coast or coming from Nyanza or coming from Mount Kenya. You all operate as Kenyans. And it's so beautiful to see. The bird starts eating us when we arrive at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, coming back. Then we suddenly realize who we are as ethnic groups. This has been our handicap. And this is why I want to praise USPAC. What USPAC is doing with regard to getting us to realize where the rain started beating us is great. And we should give every support to this organization, because it is what will carry this generation and the next generation forward, so that we think and behave as Kenyans. So ISPAC has shown us the way. Let us embrace the aspirations of ISPAC. Makofi kwa wale ambao walianzisha ISPAC. Asante. When you come to the university, whichever university it is, you come to a family. And in that family, there is a student who is the most important person. There is the faculty, and there is the administration. Without the student in the university, that university cannot be called a university. The student is the core. Many times we forget that as administrators. And sometimes we are in our ivory towers. And when we don't go to the level of the student in order to see what they are going through, this is what causes a bit of a hiccup in the university administration. There are things that can be done by the universities through various heads. And in this regard, the deans of students play a great role, because they are closest to the students, and students have their confidence. the deans, together with the heads of the department, can broker the deans and the heads of department can broker good resolutions that will go a long way to help the problems that the student body is going through. Thank you. The university structure is so arranged so that every structure is interdependent. There is no structure that works on its own. The student body, the faculty, the administration, the support staff, each of those groups are so important for the well-being of that institution. For peace to prevail, we need to hold each other's hands. For peace to prevail, and in order to counter any conflict, we need to talk with each other, not to talk to each other. Because when we talk to each other, we are missing the point. But when we talk with each other, we can listen to each other's point of view, and we reach a conclusion. As I've said, students are the core of any university. And this is because of the role they play. Students come to the university in order to succeed. No student comes to university in order to fail. They have the right grades, they need nurturing. If they are well nurtured, if they are listened to, they will succeed. And sometimes, as administration, we have failed in this. Sometimes we think that we know, but many a time we have been proved wrong. We need each other so that we can grow together in order to build the name of our institution. It is never done alone. In the university, because of the different time factor, the students who come to the university now are slightly younger than those who went to the university during my time. And they come with their own ideas. There's nothing bad about having any idea, but as has been stated here by our professor, university has its role. When we get to the university, each student should embrace the values that are found in that institution so as to embed them in the student life. Each university has a mantra. Each university has a motto. every student who comes to a university must embrace that mantra, that motto. And when that is done in full responsibility, then things get better and success is guaranteed. In the university, because of the many years we stay in there as students, we are taught many things. We come to get knowledge, and we all know that knowledge is power. With that knowledge, we have power in us. If that power is not transformed into servitude, servant leadership, then it is not going to help us. The power that we receive through learning should give us an occasion to transform our lives in such a way that we are able to sit down with other Kenyans who did not have the opportunity to come to an institution of higher learning, so that we can reason out together. Not saying that because I have been to the university, I am better off than any other person who has not. Each one of us is called upon to have that servant leadership. It's only through that we will build our institution together. It's only that through that building we can transform our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Insights. We'll now be proceeding to have Commissioner Dr. Danvers Makori. And I know he's shared quite a bit of insights earlier, but he will be telling us what is the current state of peace in Kenya. Prof say that the absence of war, peace is not the absence of war, is it? So Dr. Makori will be guiding us. What is the current state of peace in Kenya? And then he amplified a few of the key pillars of the UN Security Council Resolution 2250. He talked about participation and which other partnerships, right? There are three left. But I would, there are three left that I would be requesting him to talk about. Something on protection, prevention, and then maybe those two. Because somehow he alluded to the third one when he spoke about guns, because that is about disengagement and reintegration. So I'll be asking him to share insights on the other two pillars of UN Security Council Resolution 2250, and then finally give us some insights or recommendations on what is it that we need to do given the current state of peace in Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Magoti. I'll try to be brief and precise to the point. And towards the end, I'll be a little bit controversial because I speak the truth. What happened in Kenya, if you remember well. And it was part of what we call the Agenda 4 commissions to address long-term issues, the root cause. You see, 07 or 08, we fought because of the disputed election of hydrogen and announcement pronounced. That was the trigger. So in peace and conflict, we have triggers and root causes. That was the trigger. But there's a root cause. Why did Kenya, or why do we Kenyans, why do we fight, why do we kill each other, why do we hate each other? This commission was created to prevent this country from ever going back to that reality that we saw. It was ugly, it was bad. We have 17 mandates in law, and I'll give this background. It's an upshot to what I'm about to say. We have 17 mandates according to the Act of NCIC. Many of them, I can't mention all of them, but one of the main is peace building, of course, That's what we're doing with a lot of peace building. We have been taught to build the status of peace in our country, conflict resolution. Because of what happened in 0708, one of the things that we are famous for, but it is just one of our mandates, is marked as hate speech. So the politicians go and incite, this is just like now, we arrest them or prosecute them or talk to them, or they incite or tend to incite. And anything that's now hate speech has moved to the online space, digital platforms. So we monitor a lot of digital platforms, monitor media or television, so your regular media and social media. Also we do, because of what happened in 0708, we address the issues of inequality. Specifically, opportunities for employment, especially in government. And I'll finish with that, because we have vice chancellors, DCs here and deans here, and students. So I'm going to come to that because it ties into what we're doing here today. I've been given a few things to talk about, and I'm going to talk about that. What is the status of peace in our country? So for the most part, there's a what I can say is relative calmness. So here's the reality. Actually, first of all, before I forget, tomorrow we are officially launching the post-election report. It will be news, it will be big, the post-election report. I don't want to preempt it, but it gives analysis. We just went across the country and did an analysis of the entire country. How is it from Mandera to Ajim, to Mount Kenya, to Turkana, to Kisumu, everywhere? What is the status of our country as far as peace is concerned? For the most part, Kenyans are peaceful, and unlike the Nigerian defined peace, they will be defined in conflict. Because we traditionally say lack of conflict is equals to peace. No, we say is what we call negative peace and positive peace. So negative peace is whereby atupigani and kilokondani is simmering underlying drivers that, if ignited, you will explode. So generally speaking, we have in our country, I would say peace, but it's negative peace. And we'll speak the truth because you see the report tomorrow. Because, and this is what we say, it's just a country we analyze. We just report what people say. We take, it's like a doctor, report, it's a report. So we take a study, we took a study of the whole country. In the past few months, it's quite extensively done. And in support of our partners and the UN families here, they really welcome us that report. The reality of politics is, and we used to say this, because even as we're campaigning for peace, is asikubali kushindwa. Now, whether you make it or not, there was largely two formations in our country. And there is one that lost and there is one that won, right? And I can tell you, for the people that lost, as much as they're not participating in active conflict, our analysis of the report is there is still resentment and anger within themselves across their struggles. That is what we've analyzed. So, as the meal struggles, when the people they actually feel aggrieved, they feel one or two things, there are many issues they feel, but they are not happy. Are they fighting? No. Are they negotiating? Hopefully not. But that's the current state as we speak, generally politically. So I'm going to start on the macro level across the country. Kenyans are peaceful for the most part, and we will maintain peace after the election. It was the most peaceful election we've seen. There were challenges, of course, but for the most part, we are peace. People put a lot of effort in infrastructure to maintain peace. A lot of, but the peace in our country is not happenstance. See, everyone doing Ibanika, a lot of effort was put, a lot of work was put for that. And it paid when we have peace. But generally speaking, there's a section of Kenya. Now we have raging conflicts just still going on in our country, in northern Kenya, which I'm going to address later in the context of moving forward, what we should do. And one of our mandates. Northern Kenya are two places that you see in news. For example, in the Kerio Valley and the Sukuta Valley. Barangoi, Samburu, Gilmara, Pokot, East Turkana. That's the Buta Kerio Valley belt. But it's Hapo belt. We have a similar conflict we don't Juicy up between the border of Garissa and Kitui. You saw that. It's still there. We have still underlying drivers. The current drought is a two-edged sword. Okay? So it drives conflict because, as you see, especially in areas of Turkana East, Subuta, you see that cattle grassing. But the reality is, when it rains, it's going to be worse. Because for those who spend time in Northern Kenya, especially pastoral communities, when a kitchen longer restocking, there's 2.5 million livestock have died so far. When rain starts next year, is when we'll see raging conflict. Because now, because my cattle died, I'll come and bring a community to restock. They're not restocking. That's what they call it. That's just a general sense. We have operations going on. We still have works going on with, I mentioned Masabit here, I mentioned Ishio, that we're working on these issues for the most part. There's a framework of engagement that has caused there to be a cessation of hostilities, of escalating hostilities in our country. So for the most part, looking at our country, apart from incidences here and there, as a country, there's relative peace defined the way we define it. But as a practitioner, there's still a negative element of peace which we need to address those issues. So people who feel they lost unfairly, they need to vent, even as they are saying it. Now, for the task that I was given to address, before actually address those ones, then I'll finish with one of our key mandates, which is addressing inequality, especially in government institutions, which many are presented here, so that we can address peace in the long term, because that was the structure of the issues that we had facing our country. Now, mentioned earlier when I was giving that speech, because we didn't have time, there's no overall framework or policy which was very critical, and we really want to champion it well, and I really wish the Ministry of Youth was here, the Ministry of Interior is presented here. There's an overall framework, the United Nations Security Council that was passed in 2015, actually 7th year. And the main reason was because youth were mainly sidelined when it comes to peace and security. In equal to governments, actors, state actors, and massive actors, especially the CS, but youth were not really included in that. And the Security Council, then Secretary General, made sure youth become part of the discussion of when it comes to peace and security. Now, there's 5 pillars I mentioned, the 2. The other 3 actually are protection, prevention, partnership, disengagement, and integration. Quickly, just to explain, because I didn't explain. One of the things is I think extreme protection. The most vulnerable people in conflict are youth. And the UN saw its feet within that resolution, which we as a country want to spearhead in adopting it. Other government agencies, especially the security part, is to protect the youth, because they're one of the most vulnerable people. If you go to even here with IDPs, or go to a refugee camp, the biggest demographic you find is women and youth. Period. So they're the most affected when it comes to conflicts, women of course, and yet they're also influencers. So it's something that they need to be protected, especially their rights, especially in conflict. This country is 75% youth. If there was to be a large-scale conflict, who will be the most casualties? Now let's talk. If our population is 75% youth, there's a large-scale conflict, who is the most affected? Of course. By proportion, it is a logical conclusion. The most casualties will be what? Therefore, as much as sometimes they are seen as a perpetrators, actually, to the most part, they are the biggest victims. So it's also feel that they are protected when it comes to that issue. The other issue is when it comes to prevention, and this is actually very key. Prevention is better than cure, October and December. And one of the things that we've done, especially in CVE, and it's been very effective, CVD, who knows what CVD is? CVD. Somebody mentioned violent extremism. So, CVD is countering violent extremism, or CVD. If you're really going to be effective, you have to prevent it. There's a report that came through Amnesty International a few months ago, right before elections, talking about how ISIS and Al-Shabaab, that their main recruiting channel is Facebook. How is that report? Amnesty. Recruiting Al-Shabaab is on social media, so YouTube or Facebook. Yes, security. Now, most people in security are not the most young people, but when they're not sector-heavy, they're old school in the way they're thinking. That's why Al-Shabaab has been very effective in recruiting, because it is exactly this thing right here. And in order to be effective, we have to engage in that level too. We are our place of social unit in Solman, my young people, and especially if you go to the ground, if you go to IG, if you go to London, the most effective, we work with the National Counseling Center. One of the most effective ways in countering violence extremism actually is having the youth participate. Because the ones who know who their friends are being recruited, all are at work, you understand? And the ones who know the language they use, and if you're going to be effective in countering violence extremism, the pilot program that we want to do in Wajib, it is led, it's youth-centered and youth-led actually. Last but not least is disengagement. But before we go to prevention, I mentioned the issue of where we went to in Capel, where we had 1,000 young Morans with guns right there. These guys never go to school. Listen to me very carefully. We will not solve the issue of class harassment or insecurity in northern Kenya by security deployment only. We can send the entire KDF to Capel, and our police, the entire police will go there, and it will never make a difference. It will not make a difference. You know why? How many schools do you think are in TRT? TRT is 3 times the size of Nairobi County. Actually 4 times, 4.5 times. TRT is about 5 schools. 3 times the size of Nairobi, Professor. 5 schools. And 3 of them just came with the only 3 schools in whole place. There's no schools, there's no infrastructure. Listen, if you want, and why I'm saying this is, one of my favorite leaders is the Samburu West member of Parliament. It's called National. When she became MP, she was that time, Samburu West had the same issue like Samburu North Barakoyo. Her sole issue was to build schools and take those who are to school. And in 10 years, she's built close to, I think, 40-something schools. She went to TSC for teachers, she went to the ministry class for teachers, okay? ECDs and everything. And guess what? Samburu West, there is absolutely no conservation. It's so peaceful. They become victims now. There's some people are becoming victims because they've gone to school. One of the ways to prevent conflict, but what is actually through education. Especially at that level. It's the truth. This is real life. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about real life. What I've seen on experience. That's why I give an example of those 1,000 young people. What happens? That's all they know is that AK-47. And they cannot wait for our police officers to go there. But it's not around to be a nation. Watch out, they can't wait. They cannot wait. You understand? So it's important, it's imperative, especially when education is here, that you understand the role of education comes to prevention of conflict and disengagement. So it's the same thing, is integrating these people. And we've seen one of the most I'll say progressive and impactful thing we've seen is when we take the young warriors, the Morans, they have their 8 cents. Those who participate, especially in these conflict places, and they become the peace ambassadors. We target those warriors. and we convert them to peace ambassadors. And now they go to integrate together. We've seen neighborhood villages where young people are fully integrated now. The challenge, of course, is opportunities and so on and so forth. That's the reality of as it is. Now, let me finish by this part. I don't ask a number of reasons, but let me finish with this part because of time. One of our mandate as an institution is we do ethnic audits. Ethnic audit. As a matter of fact, we got Morana in your predecessor before we came and started the public service board. Now, listen to me, because this is important. This is the law of the country, and do not bash me, don't fight me. I'm going to give you fact as it is. The law of this Republic of Kenya states this: no public institution can have more than 30% of an ethnic community. You know that's the law of the country. Public institutions. So we have universities here which are public institutions. Let me go to the public ones. This report we are about to release very soon. So I want to give all of it, but we audit everyone from state house to county governments. As long as there's public money to get up the authority, we audit you. Why? Because one of the reasons we went to conflict last time is because of inclusivity. There's a community or group of people not feeling a part of our country, they're excluded. Okay? You understand where I'm coming from? Now, briefly, let me understand the issue of our country. I'm trying to scan the environment here. How many people here are from the ASAL counties? ASAL counties. Are you in semi-arid? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 9. Now listen to me. The government of Kenya, as a policy and even as a law, discriminated and marginalized 2/3 of the area of our country since independence. I want to give you a background to understand the challenge we have in our country. Can you imagine systematically being marginalized? This is the government policy. Session of paper number 10. It was the government of Kenya policy to intentionally marginalize 2/3. It's not coming about 10. They comprise 2/3 of the landmass of our country. But if you expect to develop, we can't. So one of the reasons we've had the challenges is because the large tracts of our land, large people of our citizens, those days before the revolution, if you're living in Israel or Nigeria or there, you're told Kenya can't celebrate for Kenya. So you know why? Because they don't feel part of what? Our country. It's the truth. Now, let's come to the reality here right now. If you go to the university, if you go to Embu University, I'll give you an example, Embu University. What do you think is the population, ethnic composition of the leadership of Embu University? Embu University. I can give you all the universities, but I wasn't invited. This report will be released very soon, you will see. We have serious problems in our country. What are the structural issues, root issues? Because if we're going to have peace in our country and cohesion, integration, we need to address structural issues. And I told you I'm not being controversial, but this is true. When you have a university, and this is not everyone, just a good example, whether it's Tibagi, whether it's for university, name them. But any university, especially in a specific area, whether it's university, name them, majority of them have 70%. Some of them even have 90% of one ethnic group in the leadership of the university. And that's what the law of the country. Why am I saying this? Is because Professor Tata has the best issue of ethnicity, okay, and tribalism. If we're going to address that people that are facing our country, we need to address it in the structural settings, beginning institutions. Okay? So it is important, therefore, that these things are addressed and mentioned. Because if you live in one country, if you live in, I'm going to use an example, if you live there, go to the primary school there, go to secondary school there, go to university there in the same ethnic group, how can you fully integrate and be cohesive with the full country that we call Kenya, which are 44 communities? That is the question I'm going to ask you. Another thing, it's important that we in this place have that conversation so that we can build a cohesive, united country. We understand diversity, appreciate our ethnic diversity, but our identity is national. It is not ethnic. And it starts in academic institutions like these places, whereby we embrace everybody. You come from a different place, but we celebrate diversity, but we know we are greater than the other one. Then we can have peace. Then we can have cohesive. Last point. This is the first election that, for the most part, political mobilization was not ethnic based. For the first time, at least we can clap for ourselves. We can clap for the fact that one of the reasons we had peace in this election was why? Because political mobilization was not what? It was issue-based. And both sides of us were address issues that affect Kenyans. And that is why we have peace today. It's because now, for the first time in our country, ethnic mobilization was not a big. It's still there, but it was issue-based. And I truly hope, because we have leaders here, and members of assembly here, and universities here who are coming up. If we're going to have issues, peace in our country, we need to move from ethnic-based mobilization in terms of politics to issue-based, because hunger affects a Turkana, it will affect a Kikuyu, it will affect a Somali. It's the same thing. Poverty affects all of them the same way. It doesn't choose between who and who. So we need to address issues that face our country. Therefore, we can have a united and cohesive country. That is the state generally of our country as it is. We truly hope we can have bold leadership that can still continue to address structural issues that, for example, which are raised in terms of our ethnic makeup institutions, so that we can have a cohesive country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Makori, for those very practical insights. UNV Country Coordinator for Kenya, to give us insights as to what UNV office is doing, the UNV country office is doing to promote volunteerism, but also what are the opportunities that would be there for us to engage with public universities and private universities as well. So, Karibu Anna.
Thank you very much, Bwana Magotsi. My name is Anna Skogi. I'm the UNV country coordinator for Kenya. We are happy to be here today to join all of you as we celebrate International Volunteer Day. I must say that in Kenya, we are one of the largest countries that are hosting UN volunteers. As we speak, we have 300 volunteers serving across the country in various areas, and we are working with over 23 United Nations agencies, funds, and programs. And our volunteers are serving in the area of development, humanitarian, and peace. Just to speak on some of our success stories in the last just completed elections and even in the previous elections, with the collaboration with our UNDP colleagues, we were able to engage peace monitors who worked across the country. We were able to also mobilize data analysts that were working actually in the situation rooms, and even using the online volunteer modality, through the internet, we were able to engage with the peace monitors to support in the elections. We also previously supported under the devolution program, where we had volunteers serving in all the 47 counties and they supported in various areas of development. So as an organization, we are here and we are open to have volunteers, and I know most of the youth bracket are from the age of 18. You can volunteer from the age of 18 up to retired level. We also receive volunteers, actually do not have any cutout in terms of those who are willing to volunteer. But what would be some of the recommendations is, one, I think it's very important for all of us as organizations, as institutions, to ensure that we engage and include the youth in the planning processes at the beginning. Not to bring them at the end, at the tail end, at the implementation, because then we lose the buy-in from these young people. The other element is also the issue of misusing the youth. We have seen youth being misused in activities that actually then derail them from their initial focus on where they're supposed to be supporting the country. And this has also caused, the country a lot of issues. And for those of us also that have moved on from the youth bracket, it is also our responsibility to mentor, to coach, and to work with the youth. Because if we do not give them that opportunity, if we do not mentor them, then where are they going to mirror the success and of where we want them to be the future leaders, for this country? And to the youth, there is so much out there, but one thing I can tell you for sure, you have to move from your comfort zone. As your colleague said here before, you cannot sit and hope that things will come to you. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And I know, and even my kids keep telling me, but Mom, you guys are of old age, because I know that the youth of today, you want to come in tomorrow, you want to come in today as a program assistant, and tomorrow you want to be the CEO. That will not happen. You have to walk the journey slowly. There is a lot. It's painful. It's a painful journey. You have to be willing to go the extra mile. Believe it or not, it is that extra mile that will take you to a higher ground. But you have to move from your space. You have to move from the space you're in and get out there so that you can enhance your career and get yourself to where you want to go. One of the elements also that I want to say as a UNV program is that you can volunteer in different capacities, either as an international volunteer. Actually in Kenya, a very big number of our citizens, of our youth have gone to other countries as UN volunteers in peacekeeping assignments. And you can also volunteer here in your own country, in your different areas. And you can also volunteer in different levels. We have an expert level, we have a national level, and we also have community level. Community level, you do not necessarily have to have a degree, but as long as you have secondary education, you can still engage and support in the community. Lastly, I want to just encourage our youth, please register yourselves in different platforms. I know we also have a volunteer involving organization that embraces all volunteer organizations like Red Cross, VSO, UNV is also part of that. So I was just telling Alan the other day that it would be good for USPAC to also join the volunteer involving organization, because there will be more initiatives and he can share some of those prospects on how the youth can engage themselves in other activities. You do not necessarily have to volunteer or be a volunteer in the UN, but there are different and other organizations where you can share your skills, you can share your talents, but all of us collectively, the element of volunteering beyond our core mandate, beyond our duty, this we have to agree as a country to step up and make sure that we support our youth. We give them that space for them to learn from us, because if they have no mirror to look at, then we will not be saying that we are supporting our youth in any development. So I will stop here, and for us, we are available. Next year, if we're invited to USPAC, we can come and present and showcase what the UNV program does and provide more insight to the wider youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rose, for 10 minutes so that we wind up our session and a number of the board. And on that note, I'm calling for 2 volunteers to pick the mics. 2. To roll the 2 mics. I think you can use one. By a show of hands, anybody who has a question? Yes, there's one here. On this side, there's only 1, 2. So pick the numbers. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 questions. And please be precise. This is an opportunity to interact with Professor Nyaigoti Church, Dr. Ragot, Dr. Makori here, and Anne. Shoot the questions direct as a good volunteer. So number 1, it was here. Number 1 was here. We picked numbers, remember. If we lose out your number, then we are done.
Good afternoon.
Is it on?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Grace Osine. I have one question. It's going to Anne. I want to ask a question on inclusivity. Most of the UN volunteer positions, you advertise them online. You have to apply online, right? But now the issue is, most of the youths, especially people who are coming from, let's say, Kibera or East Slums, they don't have, they can't access smartphones, or they don't have resources or laptops. You know, not everyone can afford the phones and the laptops and all that. What can you do to ensure that they have an opportunity to apply for these positions as well? Yeah.
Thank you very much. Number 2, introduce yourself very quickly and shoot the question.
My name is Melom Chepteke from Technical University of Kenya. Thank you so much for such an interactive session. My question is really much related with what she just asked, but I want to pose it again to Dr. Anne. How can we get the opportunity to volunteer, most especially internationally, as youth in this podium today? Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Julius Omondi from Great Lakes University of Kisumu. My question is the one in charge, the commissioner of the NCIC. Most of the time, you realize that these politicians, they speak certain sentiments that as a normal citizen, when I sit down here and try to understand, I feel that maybe as a hate speech. But then, these politicians go scot-free. I don't know what happens with the law in between. You may help me understand that. Then to my fellow youths, one thing I would like to urge ourselves is that there are quite a number of opportunities out there. But if you sit down and wait for the opportunities, they may not come to you. So it's better you stand up and go and face the opportunities. Thank you very much.
It was number 4 here. Sorry.
Thank you so much. The champion is Kibara University Chair. First, we want to appreciate the CEO, Alan Chacha, and the other speakers. I have 2 questions here. One, we have the goes to Dr. Makori. There is some of the work that were prohibited by the NCIC. And we the government that said that this is the word that should not be used. But very unfortunate that some of the prominent people in the government are still using the very words. So Dr. Makori will clarify on that. Then 2, those volunteers they are asking through our COE, Alan, that we had some that participated in our last election as observers. They are asking they were promising their certificates kindly he clarified that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Number 5.
Hello, my name is Henry Muchangi, the president of Catholic University of Eastern Africa organization, the students union. I'm happy that, and I'm feeling like I'm at the right place because the panel has really exuded excellently on the need for all of us acting as the instrument of peace and actually through volunteering. But now, 2 things are disturbing me as pertaining what is happening right now in the nation. Where does our volunteering come in the instances like we are really celebrating that we have a very peaceful election, but then all of a sudden, a certain faction of leaders come out and say that we are going for maandamano, we are going for demonstrations. Where do we come in such an instance? Then my other question is about insecurity. The commissioner there, I've heard him exclusively talking about insecurity. But what is our position as students now, and in our students, and in our settings as students? For instance, what is happening about the insecurity within the schools, the universities, I mean, we have seen, for example, demonstrations right now today in Machakos University, and I think I'm challenged that even as we move from this conference, the USPAC kindly let's have a solution to such. Where do we come in? Where do we come in when insecurity goes to that kind of levels? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 6. Your 6, then 7, 8. Yes.
My name is Frank Mangai from Murang'a University, my question goes directly to Commission. I was asking what is the proper strategy of leadership do you recommend? Because should we base our leadership on tribes? Should we base our leadership on the majority or the minority? Or should we base our leadership depending on the qualities and how a leader stands out?
Thank you, Mangai. Number 7. Please, 7, can you rise up so that we see where you are? All right.
Okay, I'm Emmanuel Kibet, a student at the University of Nairobi, and my question is specifically to NCIC, because I'm from Baringo County and I studied in Tiati sub-county. You say that Tiati sub-county have only 2 schools, or 5 schools, but currently there are 9. And I went to one of those schools, Jamali High School. So, based on your ethnic audits, what remedial measures have you seen concerning institutions take up? And based on your ethnic audits, what remedial measures have you seen concerning institutions take up? And what is your biggest nightmare as commissions in addressing the audit updates findings? Do you do only audits, or you make follow-up to make sure that those audits are being taken into action by the government? And my question to you and Chris, how do you mitigate volunteerism abuse in the process of volunteerism? And another question, how many volunteers placements statistically do you have beyond testimonials? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Finally, number 8.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon McKenna from Pamoja for Transformation. My question is to Dr. Makori. Following your presentation right now, with the current state of peace in Kenya right now, do you think in some instances
negotiated democracy is an option. I know it's happening, but it's not outrightly embraced. Do you think currently in Kenya, are we at a state where we can embrace negotiated democracy? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I closed out on those ones.
Betty from Encourage Hotel Volunteers and the UN Volunteers. Sorry, I'll just say it straight to her. It's not more of a question, but a plea.
All right.
As volunteers working in the most marginalized community, you realize even if you have a degree cannot maybe take you or make you volunteer. Volunteering starts from just deep within you. So I feel UNV mostly hinders more people when they say maybe you need to have a degree, those papers. But even most of the people in the marginalized community never even went to school. Maybe they finished in the first levels of education. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Yes, next to the, and then you are next, then we close there, I think.
My question is to Prof. Vice Chancellor, because he demonstrated to be very good at describing and explaining terms. I would like to understand the meaning of volunteering. Does volunteering mean getting nothing in return?
You did not introduce yourself. Let's hear your introduction.
Thank you very much. My name is Boniface Mwema Harrison. I am a student at the Technical University of Kenya.
Thank you. Yes.
Naitwa Gideon Mwakini from the Disability Center for Peace and Human Rights. Kuna swali kwa Reverend. Naona ndio ni speaking English, allow me to ask in Swahili. Na ningependa kuuliza swali. Kitambo hapo awali tulikuwa tukiona viongozi wa kidini ambao walikuwa wanaikosoa serikali hivi na Reverend Joya ambao pia waliweza kuumia hata kuweza kuweka maisha yao hatarini. Lakini viongozi wa sasa tumeona wakiwa kidogo wanaegemea mirengo ya kisiasa na viongozi wa kidini. Swali langu ni kwamba unaona kwamba labda taifa linapotea kwa sababu hakuna mwelekeo kutoka viongozi wa kidini. Asante.
Let's start with Anne, because she has most of the questions, and we'll be coming this direction. I know once they exhaust, and these two professors will also be having a lot of wisdom, kuchangia kwa yale maswala ambayo yameulizwa. I am looking at them and mimi naona they are, they are beaming with a lot of responses. So let's start from Anne. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Just maybe to recap on what we had said about the UAV program, and from our friends down there that said they do not have, access, or maybe there are challenges in terms of how they can volunteer. The assignments are at a request from our UN agencies. They come up with a request that they would like to have a volunteer to support in certain areas. So once we receive that request from them, then of course we advertise for the position. Yeah, so we use our social media. We also send to our partners. We actually usually share the advert link with most of our partners, and also through social media. And then even just to add, in terms of the modality, not all are specialized modalities. I said there's a community modality that allows volunteers that have only reached up to Form 4, for example, you can still volunteer. We also have our refugee modality. As we speak now, we have 3 UN volunteers who are working in the refugee camp as refugee volunteers. There was also a question on how to volunteer as international. When you visit our website, it's very user-friendly. On the first page, when you log in, which is unv.org, it will ask you whether you want to volunteer in your own country or you want to volunteer outside the country, or you want to volunteer as an online volunteer. So you have the opportunity to select. If you select you want to volunteer in your own country, so it means you'll be a national volunteer working in Kenya, then you must be a Kenyan. If you choose to volunteer in another country, then you will be qualified to volunteer as an international. So it means you leave Kenya and you go out, either to Sudan or to Afghanistan. And if you choose to volunteer as an online volunteer, then that means wherever you're seated around the globe, as long as you have internet, you can volunteer as an online volunteer. The only caveat is those who volunteer as nationals or international, in whichever capacity, you get a living allowance to enable you, to sustain yourself. For the online volunteer, you do not have an allowance. What you receive is an appreciation from that host organization for the duration that you have provided that service to them. It's usually a short service, about 12 weeks, for you to support either in data collection or in editing of documents. But the other assignment is a full-time assignment. It can be from 3 months to 12 months. And you can work or you can serve up to 4 years maximum, either as a national volunteer or an international volunteer. Then there was a question from my friend. He asked about mitigation in case there's a misuse of the services that the volunteer provides. These UN volunteers are attached to different UN organizations, and of course we are governed by the UN rules and regulations, so any inappropriate or any misuse of their services, there are also processes and also procedures that the UN volunteers can come out and actually bring those issues to us, and then we take it up from there. So they are covered. And we do not give any room for any discrimination or any sorts of harassment when they are on duty. I think I've covered all, unless there was something that was not clear. But I said we are open from expert modality, where we have the volunteers have 35 years of age and 15 years of experience. Then you have the specialist modality from the age of 27 going up with the 3 years of experience, and then we have the majority of the youth, 18 to 26, where you need 0 to 3 years of work experience. So it's up to you, and depending with your age bracket, you have space and you have an opportunity to serve here in the country, outside of the country, or online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a number of questions. I'll be quick as possible. I'll start with the gentleman back who asked about issue why petitions are going to go free. So just 2 things quickly, as many reasons, but quickly. Number one, the threshold for proving hate speech, even in our legal system, is quite high. It's extremely high because you have to prove intent. Okay? So it's one thing to say, let's say, intent can't have done. So if I say, I do not like Professor Chacha here, I have to prove intent that what I'm saying will cause or what it will cause damage. That's one. But more importantly, the challenge we have in our country is the not just legal framework, but the reality of our legal justice, criminal justice system. So right now, as we speak, it takes about 5 years for a case to be had and determined. From mention to had and determined. So you're a politician leo, umetoka wase, ikushika leo, by the time kitako imeisha is 5 years from now, next election. Reality of our country. You don't think you can do about it, but we need something about it. What do we do? We spoke with the Chief Justice, and she gave us 5 courts, special courts for hate speech. And we spoke with the DPP, gave us 151 special prosecutors who had handled hate speech cases in the previous election. That is why we saw there was a significant reduction on hate speech. Just a few of them will mention on things, and we arrested some of them. But the legal process, of course, for us, we investigate and arrest. The Constitution says somebody else prosecutes you to the DPP. We don't prosecute prosecute, the prosecutes and continue, and separation of powers states that also the judiciary hears the cases and determines. So if somebody is given a bail and achiever, that's the constitution of our country. As we speak right now, we have 483 cases in court pending. 483 of hate speech. We have 86 cases of online incitement, our bloggers, 86 right now pending in court as we speak. A number of them are key positions that you know of. Some of them have already been acquitted as it is. So to answer your question, headlines, somebody asked about the words that we ban. So we didn't really ban any words, and I know specifically what you were referring to. We just caution. If you look at the statement, I think I was in New York that time, I was in the UN, and my phone went red, but I was getting so many calls. I was wondering, I was in a very high level meeting, I was seeing my phone go off. And so the NCAC has banned words, and my fellow guys from use that, and I said, no, we're not banning words. Because even me, I was, to be frank with you, the process wasn't, the process, the internal process was to follow should have followed, but we can release those, that list of words, the process was not followed. That's why some words came which should not be in that list. I know which one you're referring to. That's specific why Sipagwingi is not, that's Sipagwingi is not hate speech. Trust me, it's not equal to it should not be that, should not be included in that list. Okay? It was put in, but it should not be included. I didn't follow the due process internally. Somebody asked, we have this election, how come people are calling for demonstration? Personally, university, but also professionally, an answer to that is not the smartest thing to do, it's not the time to do. We need to give, if you have a difference on the issue with the current administration, Serikali, give it time to work, and then later you can do what you do. Although in our constitution, of course, you have that right to do it. As long as it's peaceful, it's your constitutional right, okay? But tactically speaking, strategically speaking, it's not the smartest thing to do, although you have the right to do it, to do that. For the issue of what type of leadership, gentlemen over there asked what type of leadership do I propose, I'm very passionate on this. Now listen to me very carefully. History has proven that people can never rise above their leaders. Never. Never, never. And in this day and age, this part of our world, we choose our leaders now. We should be imposed now, we choose them. So we have no excuses. Let me ask you a question to answer the question. Who are the greatest leaders, globally speaking, in the past 20 years? You look at Abraham Lincoln, Nicolas from Singapore. What was the distinct factor that is common to all of them? To me, and listen to me carefully, it wasn't ethnic, it wasn't tribe, it was vision. Without vision, people perish. The greatness of a man is determined here, man, woman, is determined by the cause he is for and the prices you need to pay to achieve that cause. Let me repeat that for you. The greatness of a man is determined, and a woman here, by the cause he is for and the prices you need to pay for that cause. The greatness of a leader, therefore, is determined by what does this leader live for, who is he or she, and who they live for. Forget about rhetoric, demagogue, and grandstanding. It's not what we say, but I'm not here to talk to you. It's true. Who are you? What is the vision? Who are you? The greatest leaders that we have seen in the past 20 years are those who have a clear vision and pay the price, a political price to achieve that. That's why these nations are in Singapore, whether it's Malaysia, whether it's the US, it doesn't matter. They paid the price. They knew what they were doing political. They knew what they want and they stood for it. So you should have based on that, the character and the vision. You don't change that. You can't go around that. Ethnic audit. What recommendations? So what we do, legally speaking, we have some mechanisms that we deploy, and we engage entities. That's again an example of Morana. We went to the public service board, we sat with them, we show them the audit, we show the results, how people they are, and we give them time and recommendation to say, when you hire next time, because some of them are permanent questionable, there's nothing you can do about it. Permanent contract is only cliche. If it's contract based, we say when these contracts are over, because we can see the contract. If somebody has a contract, we have 3,000 people hired in contract. When they are over, you need to hire X number of other ethnic groups. So we do that. If they don't do that, by the way, we have legal mechanisms to force them to comply, or we can take them to court and sue them. We've not done any of that because most of them want to
do what is right. So we have discussions. You know, if right now an institution already has higher people, always about Lisha, but we recommend way forward. Don't hire this ethnic group, hire this allowance to balance out those other things we do. The biggest challenge of our is political, and to be very frank with you, that's right. I mean, let's face it, some of these are very powerful political issues. Some of the universities, most of them where they are, if you touch the state election, you're like my own Shika. You understand? But yeah, you always politically you can't just all over the country. What about this? Yeah? So that's the biggest challenge. It's a political issue, but we always address it. And so far, I think most people have done. Last but not least is negotiated democracy. And dear sisters asked about negotiated democracy. Those of us who come from, I don't come from there, but my speech is always like that. So those who come from people in the northern parts, especially if you see Mandela or Garissa, the ones who are really keen on, we've seen them practice the democracy. And it's for a reason. First of all, you have to understand the context why they do it. Their politics is clan-based. Okay, it's not ethnic, it's clan-based. So as much as they're homogeneous in terms of the ethnic group in Somali, they have about 6 major clans, some smaller clans, but major ones. I need to answer the question too. So because of the reality of the ethnic, clan makeup, that's what they chose that. Now it worked to an extent. So indeed it worked to an extent, but this last round of election, so if you understand how it works, there were those who determined who are running MCA, we're standing for this, we're standing for that, a governor in this group, governor is this clan, governor is senator is this clan, governor is this clan, given the ethnic or clan of that county. But if you look at the last election, apart from maybe 1 year, I think there was still drama. Most of the counties in Manera, they threw out that whole clan mechanism out. Okay, so does it work? Yes, it can work. We advocate in the country. To answer your question, I can answer it this way. We need to be smart as Africans, not to borrow, cut and paste Western everything to our country. We can domesticate Africans. Democracy is the Western, let's face it, to an extent. But we can customate it to ourselves. That is why I personally love it, because I work extensively, I spend a lot of time in those circles and those leaders. Because of conflict, I know how it has worked. I appreciate the ingenious way of the democracy. And it worked for the most part. They avoided a lot of issues. And when you remember last election, we got an issue in which county in Wajiri? Who remembers? The county we had an issue in Wajiri. Who remembers? Yeah? Wajiri. There's a county in Wajiri. We fought. And that's, so the IBC officer was shot. There was an IBC, he was laid siege. It was just clan dynamics and people trying to overcome and overthrow the elders to be. The elders were suffer heavy or attack heavy from that. Okay? So I think apart from it, so the one about the actually, how many of them are open? I know of them. How many out of the 9 guys, how many are open? How many schools are open? Exactly. That's the same 5. There's only 5 schools open in the whole. I spent a lot of time there. I have been to Chemini lot, I've been to that, local mountain. I've been to Pamela, so I know we have an office in Marigat. So I know the dynamics cook. That's why I was giving an example. So most of them are closed, and only 5 actually are actually open. And even some of them are just practically new. When Kamamba was the PDR schools were there. When Kamamba was a baby, how many schools we were at? Yeah, but when Kamamba was a baby before the current CP right now, there are 3 schools in that place. That's the reason we have a challenge. I think I've answered the questions as much as I could, given the time constraints. Thank you very much.
Okay. Please appreciate. I think what I said was very clear. I haven't had any individual person ask me a question. I think I will take the liberty to try and inform you all who are present here that my language, we have a saying that says that anyone among us who does not touch his house should be prepared to be rained on. So I think the purpose of these meetings and the summits like this, that we call all of you to gather here and deliberate on, is to ensure that our houses are thatched. Because at the end of the day, no one among us would wish to be rained on. And that rain will be very devastating because it will destroy the cohesion of this society. We as a country have gone through a number of epochs which were not very peaceful. We have had challenges right from the time we were under the colonialists. People had to die in order for this country to be emancipated and made free. But we are also aware that the journey to ensure that we exercise our freedom as a community and as a society and as a country has had a number of challenges, some of which were very deadly to an extent that they took away some people. And some of the individuals actually who lost their lives during that struggle were great students of ours from these universities, which we currently need, because just like that voice was being articulated, the clergy, the religious leadership and organizations, as well as the students in the universities took their position very clearly, understanding that without fighting for freedom and without fighting for space that can allow us to exercise all our ability and actualize ourselves in all areas, it will be against God's will. And that struggle still continues. So, for those of us who used to stay here on stages in drama in this university, we cherish some of the lines that we learned from great authors of books, playwrights, novelists, and poets. One of which was very categorical, that it has been long since the train has been gone and our wagons have been derailed and nobody knows the life of the banana. But life does not sleep. So my part to you all is that ensure that life does not sleep. We are active members of human society. We must continue playing our role to ensure that peace prevails everywhere, all the time, not just in the universities, but in our villages. Let nobody be undermined because of his creed. Let nobody be undermined because of his faith. Let nobody be undermined because of his gender. And let nobody be undermined because of his intellectual exercise of the powers that God has endowed all of us. Asante sana.
Thank you. There was a question about what happened to the religious leaders this time around. I appreciate the question very much. You remind me of what had used to happen in the 80s and the 90s. If I may just give a brief remark about the 80s and the 90s. In the 80s, we had great religious leaders, and as well as the 90s. Not that the people who are there are not great, but there is a difference. That is the truth. We had Archbishop Gitari representing the Anglican Church. We had Ndigi Mwananzeki, Archbishop, who also was very vocal. We had Cardinal Otunga, who was also very vocal and did not keep quiet. We had Sakeu Sokot, who championed many causes. We had, from the Presbyterian Church, we had Timothy Joy, who, as we all know, suffered a great deal, but did not keep quiet when things were wrong. And we had great Muslim leaders. The truth of the matter is, in the 80s and the 90s, these religious leaders worked together, irrespective of their faith. Whether they were Muslim or Catholic or Presbyterian or Anglican, they joined hands together. And they spoke with one voice, and their voice was heard. With regard to, and they talked about peace, but you know, you cannot talk only about peace. When we talk of peace, you must also talk of justice. Peace and justice are two sides of the same coin. They addressed their issues in that manner. Come the elections of 2021, we have, 2022, we have seen there is a new crop of leaders. They tried their best, but there is a lacuna. Truth must be said. The religious leaders of 2021 election trooped together and addressed the issues of peace. And they really tried their best in order to bring the country to the realization that it is important to have peace in the country. This is as a result of what had happened earlier on. The question that is in the minds of most people, there was an omission with regard to justice. They talked of peace, and we listened to peace that was asked to address the issues, but very few remarks were made with regard to justice. Were they wrong? The judgment is in your court. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rabot, for those very useful insights. I think we cannot end this session without saying that peace does not preclude democracy, right? And peace does not preclude justice. And therefore, that responds to the question that one of us asked, and that was, there was one who was talking about why are we celebrating peace and there's potential for man-to-man. This Kenya is a democratic space, isn't it?